Hi, my name is Joby McAnuff. Subscribe to Reggae Boyz commentary.
Hello viewers, I'm Simon Preston and this is Reggae Boyz commentary. Jamaica's group has been announced for the 2016-2017 edition of the Caribbean Cup. Yes, Jamaica is going to bow into action in October. It's been quite some time. We've been waiting for this moment for some while because Caribbean Cup action has been happening for some months now as the preliminary rounds took place early in the year, second round action, and now the third round will begin in October, and it is a FIFA date window, so Jamaica has the opportunity to call up their best players from North America, Europe and other parts of the globe. So Jamaica's group has two teams in it alongside Jamaica. Jamaica has Guyana and Suriname. Those are the opponents in Jamaica's group. What is our history against these two teams? Well, against Guyana we've played them 3 times and we've won on all 3 occasions. We played them in the 1991 Caribbean Cup where we beat them 6-0. We also played them in the 2010 edition of the Caribbean Cup, which we also won, beating them 4-0 in that encounter. That tournament took place in Martinique. And in 2012 we played them in a friendly international at the Montego Bay Sports Complex where we beat them 1-0. A goal on that occasion came from Jeremy Lynch. His only game he's played for Jamaica as well. And if you remember on that day as well, there were some debuts given as well to Naira Nosworthy and, can you believe it, our skipper Adrian Mariappa. Against Suriname we've had a 50-50 record against them. We've won twice and lost twice. They beat us in 1966 5-3. And they also beat us in the Shell Cup, Caribbean Cup, 1996, beat us 3-1. We beat them in our first home and away series in the 1998 qualifiers. We beat them 1-0 away and 1-0 at home. Goals coming from Theodore Whitmore away and Walter Boyd at home. So you can say Suriname was the first team that Jamaica beat on South American soil. And Chile is our second, which we beat this year. Can you imagine? 20 years later. So that is our head-to-head record against these two teams. How did Guyana and Suriname reach this stage of the Caribbean Cup? Well, in round 1 action, Guyana, they brushed aside the likes of Anguilla and Puerto Rico. They beat Anguilla 7-0 and they beat Puerto Rico 1-0. Suriname, in round 1 action, they beat Guadeloupe 3-2. And they also lost to Guadeloupe as well 3-2 on penalty kicks, but the top 2 teams advanced, so Suriname advanced from there on in as they played each other twice because Saint Martin, the French one, withdrew from the tournament, so they just played each other twice. In round 2 action, Guyana finished second in their group because they lost 5-2 to Curacao. However, they finished second after beating the US Virgin Islands 7-0 in that encounter, which helped them to advance to this stage as qualifying as a best runner-up team. Where Suriname was concerned, they lost 1-0 to the rising team in Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis, a goal from Harry Panayoto, a Leicester City player. He didn't play this season in their title running fund, but a wonderful player to watch out for the future, to keep a very, very close eye on. And they beat St. Vincent and the Grenadines 2-1, and that helped their passage into this round, and they qualified as one of the best runners-up teams. So this leads us to round 3 action where we have Jamaica. Jamaica will play against Guyana on October the 3rd. Adrian Mariappa's birthday, coincidentally. He'll be 30 years old on that day, but he doesn't like to be reminded about that. And we'll play Suriname on the 9th of October. The venue for these matches are yet to be decided, but most likely it would be Jamaica that would be the host of these matches, so we'll have to wait and see. What are your thoughts, Reggae Boyz fans? Do you think that this is a group that we should be able to get out of? Let me explain as well. The group winner will advance to the semi-finals of the Caribbean Cup. And what does that mean? We will qualify for the 2017 edition of the CONCACAF Gold Cup once we can top our group. So it's simple. 2 wins, and then we'll be in the 2017 edition of the CONCACAF Gold Cup. 2 wins. That's all we need. Simplify things. And then we can look forward to our next hurdle, which will be to win the Caribbean Cup. Trinidad and Tobago has 8 Caribbean Cup titles. We have 6, so we're really catching up on them. If we can get to 7, I'll be good. And then 8, and then 9, and overtake them. And we would have bragging rights as being the most successful team in Caribbean Cup history. As a Jamaican, I want that. I want those bragging rights. Although we can say, well, Trinidad and Tobago has not won the Caribbean Cup since 2001, and we are the dominant force in the Caribbean, which is a fact. But you know, Trinidadians and you know, the statistics and the history book will show that that Trinidad is the most successful team in Caribbean Cup history. So let's just brush this aside and press on and get this Caribbean Cup. This will provide some life into the region. And as a Jamaican, a proud and passionate Jamaican, I want us to get that Caribbean Cup title and draw ever closer to Trinidad and then overtake them. What a moment that would be. I'm really looking forward to an occasion like that. And the other 2 groups that are involved in this 3rd round sort of phase, Haiti, French Guiana, and St. Kitts and Nevis. And in Group 3, Puerto Rico, Antigua and Barbuda, and Curacao. So you know what that means? We're going to have a Caribbean team that is going to qualify for the Caribbean Cup, for the Gold Cup, sorry, for the first time in their history. Puerto Rico has never qualified for the Caribbean Cup, the Gold Cup, sorry. Neither has Antigua and Barbuda, neither has Curacao. And finally, from Group 4 action, Trinidad and Tobago, Martinique, and the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic are a rising force in football in the Greater Antilles as well, so we have to watch out for them if we meet up on them in the semi-finals, because they do have some quality players in their ranks as well. So it's just interesting how the Caribbean is forming up as well, calling up players from overseas, and it would just be nice to see how the makeup of the squads are and how things will be progressing from there on in. So focusing once again on Jamaica's group. Before going to Jamaica's group, let me explain. Some may ask, well, what will happen if you finish 2nd in your group? If you finish 2nd in your group, then you'll qualify. You have a possible qualification to the 5th place playoff. Now, the 5th place playoff is where you're gonna have a playoff between the teams that come 2nd in each group, the 3 teams, and you play the 2 teams, and then if you're top of that, then you'll play against the 5th place team in Central America. And we don't want to do that. That could be anyone. That could be Nicaragua, that could be Honduras, that could be El Salvador, that could be Belize. So we don't want to get ourselves in that predicament. Beat Guyana, beat Suriname, and we'll be in the Gold Cup. Win 4 matches in a row, and we'll be Caribbean Cup champions. Simple equation, is it? Easier said than done, like always though, because we know football, how football is as a sport, and how difficult it is to get results, because teams are constantly improving, especially in the Caribbean. You look at Guyana, they have had some improvements in their team as well. Briggs as well, who's been part of their team for quite some time as well. Matthew Briggs, the 25-year-old who, remember, used to be held the record for the youngest player to play in the Premier League when he was at Fulham, now at Colchester United, former England under-21 player. Neil Dans as well, another English-based player, part of their team, who will add a bit of quality to their team. They don't have the services of Leon Court and Carl Court as they've retired, but they still do have some options up front to call upon as well. Marcel Barrington as well. They also have the skipper Chris Nurse, hard rock in the central midfield, another player to keep an eye on there. Walter Moore. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out for the Caribbean Cup. And now going over to Suriname side of things, you remember there was a player that they had for quite some time causing havoc in the Caribbean, Clifton Sanderveld. He's been one of those players that has brought fair in the Eastern Caribbean, as he played in World Cup qualifiers or so. Only scored 9 goals, but he's made his presence and he stamped his authority within the region. So he's another one to look out for. And let's not forget as well that Suriname has the opportunity to call up players from the Netherlands as well, who have Surinamese roots. So they could call up some players from the Eredivisie. So it's going to be very interesting to see the types of players that they'll be called upon, because they do have some quality players. Lorenzo Davids, one player that you can think about as well. Mitchell Donald, who plays his trade with Red Star Belgrade in Serbia, massive club in Europe, as well as Jorano Snyders, who plies his trade with Notts County in England. So there's quality all across the board. So Jamaica is going to have to bring their A game and do their best. I'm Simon Preston. This is Reggae Boyz commentary, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hi, my name's Lee Williamson. Subscribe to Reggae Boyz commentary.